Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What is a companion video? Well, I'm glad that you asked. You see, every day on the John Campea Show, we take live questions from the audience, but we don't always have time to get around to all of the live questions that get sent in. But I want to make sure those questions get answered, so I gather up the unused questions and we address them here on companion videos. Now, today's companion video, we're addressing the questions that got sent in on the John Campea Show this morning, Thursday, March the 7th, and that was this morning, and we're going to get around and make sure those questions get caught up on, because again, I want you to know that when you send those questions in, they do get answered. So let's jump right into it. The first question we're going to start off with today is from Lee Edworthy. And Lee Edworthy writes, "Can't believe Arrow is ending. Sad to see it go. My favorite CW show." Yeah, for those of you who might have missed the news, they announced that Arrow was coming to an end next season, season 8. They're going to cut the season short as well. It's only going to be a 10-episode season next season. But you know what? No tears for Arrow. Arrow is going to have 8 seasons, which is more than I guarantee you they ever thought possible. The legacy of Arrow lives on, because without Arrow, there never would have been Flash, Black Lightning, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman's coming, maybe a Constantine show at some point, who knows. But, I mean, they really had more success than they ever thought they were going to have. And I'll be honest with you, I've been off and on with Arrow. Like, I loved Arrow at first. I fell off it pretty hard around season 3 and season 4. I've been watching a bit lately. They seem to be getting back on track lately. But honestly, even though it seems like Arrow's been getting back on track, I feel like the show's run its course. You know, even Stephen Amell mentioned that there's only so much you can do. You know, there's only so many stories to tell. And then you move on, you tell different stories. And I feel like Arrow is a show that has run its course. And they're probably ending at the right time. Now, remember, Stephen Amell also alluded to the fact that although the show is ending, you're probably going to see the character of Oliver Queen, played by Stephen Amell, pop up in the Arrowverse now and again. So don't be surprised if this isn't the last we see of Oliver Queen. All right. Uncle Ed writes, "I'm sure you added this already, but what happened to the studio?" Oh, God, guys, I get asked this almost every day, and I've answered it almost every day. I really like the look of it, but by the way, I love the crew. Bring on the filthy. Uncle Ed, obviously not everybody watches every show. You didn't watch any of the shows and answers. Do me a favor. Go to thejohncampeashow.com. That's www.thejohncampeashow.com. When you get there, click on John's blog, and there's the full answer in there, and that's where you can get your answer. So there you go. Okay, Henry Stevens writes, "Hi, everyone. I'm starting to get films digitally, but which service? Amazon or Google? Both have pros and cons. What do you all recommend?" Well, honestly, other than Amazon Originals, there's really nothing you can get on one that you can't get on the other. I mean, really. I mean, if you're talking about wide release movies like Venom, you can get Venom on Google Play and on Amazon. You can get Avengers Age of Ultron on Amazon Prime and on Google Play. Like, you can get them anywhere. I personally, it all depends on what ecosphere you play around in the most. I use Google for almost everything. I use Google Docs, I use Google Gmail, I use Google Assistant, I use Google for just about everything. So just by natural extension, I use the Google Play Store because when you buy your movies in Google Play Store, you can also watch your movies from YouTube. Because you're on YouTube, you can go to your purchased movies and boom, just play them right in YouTube if you want to. But honestly, you're good with either of them. You're good. The one I personally use, though, is the Google Play Store. Always had very good experience with it, so maybe you want to give that a chance. But either way, they're both good. They're both good. All right. Fire Nightwing 1 writes, "What are your thoughts on the old 80s horror movie Pumpkinhead?" That's the Lance Hendrickson one. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's cheesy. You want vengeance. It's been a long time since I've seen that. It's cheesy fun. It's cheesy fun. I mean, Pumpkinhead is not exactly on the level of, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Myers, Chucky even. But it was a fun little slasher 80s style horror movie for sure. Yeah, it was fun. I don't think much more beyond that. I mean, I don't watch it every year or anything like that, but Lance Hendrickson at his best. Nick writes, "Hey guys, so I bought my first 2 Hot Toys, the Captain America concept art version and the Captain Marvel movie version. Yep, it's a slippery slope. Dude, I am telling you, getting into Hot Toys is a glorious but dangerous thing to do. Now, I am lucky in the sense that I have 4 Hot Toys. I have an alien from Aliens. I have a Boba Fett. I have an All-Father Odin from the Thor movie. And I have my favorite one is the Russell Crowe Jor-El from Man of Steel. My favorite actor in one of my favorite movies. So that was a no-brainer. But believe me when I tell you, got to be careful because it's not like collecting pops. Pops, which run anywhere between $8 and $12 per figure. These hot toys can run $250 to $350 or more per figure. And they're so glorious. Like you look at them and you're just, oh, and then you want more. And you got to be careful, Nick. Be very careful because before you know it, you've emptied out your bank account. I don't know how I've managed to keep myself like, a lot of people are telling me, John, just get the Thanos hot toy that just came out. And Anne even gave me permission to get it. She's like, yeah, go ahead. It was like $400. But I resisted because I know if I get that one, I'm going to want to get more. It's like, well, I can't have the Thanos one without having the Captain America one. And then if I go those, oh, I can't not have the Thor. It's a slippery slope that I cannot let myself get on. Now, if you can buy one or two of them and be satisfied with owning one or two, more power to you. I'm just saying, be cautious, man, because I think you can go down a money black hole pretty quick. Kevin Newman writes, band of brothers marching together, heads held high in all kinds of weather, high from a Canadian wandering through Utah. Oh, so an expat living in a band of brothers marching together, heads held high in all kinds of weather. What is that from? I don't know what that's from off the top of my head. Now hold on a second. Band of brothers marching together song. What's that from? Is that just a military song? Maybe it is. But if so, whatever. I don't know it off the top of my head. But thank you, Kevin, from writing from Utah. Utah's a gorgeous state. I've only been through there once. But it's a gorgeous state. And I hope you're enjoying your day, man. So thanks for sending that in. All right. Hoser Miaz writes, the Jeopardy host just got announced with cancer. Yeah, we talked about that this morning. Alex Trebek, for those of you who didn't hear, has come public and announced that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Not fun. And I think they said there's like a 9% survival rate or something like that. But this is how big of a boss Alex Trebek is. Good Canadian kid, by the way. This is how much of a boss Alex Trebek is. Not only did he come out and announce to the world that he has it, he's saying he's gonna battle it, and the dude's still gonna go to work every day. He's not gonna stop working. Now, he already announced a while ago that he was probably gonna retire at the end of 2020. So that's fine, but you would think, like I was joking around this morning on the John Campea Show, it's like I get the sniffles and I'm looking for an excuse to call in sick to work. Alex Trebek announces that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer and he's still going to go to work every day. Definition of a boss. And of course, for millions of people around the world, best thoughts and well wishes are going out to the good Canadian kid, Alex Trebek. Anyway, so thanks for bringing that up. Javier Belmer writes, I got to say there's no other channel/show that deserves to reach 1 million subscribers mark more than yours. Let's make it a reality. Well, thank you so much, Javier. I appreciate that, man, very much. And I appreciate everybody who subscribes to this channel, who comes to the channel. I'm going to tell you something interesting I found out. And it's funny because we used to talk about this before, but I've really been noticing that for whatever reason, like there are YouTube channels out there that I have comparable traffic to. Like when you look how many views of their videos they get per month, it's pretty equivalent to what I get. But a lot of these channels that have equivalent traffic to me have like way more subscribers. Like not just a few more, like 3 times, 4 times, 8 times the number of subscribers that I have. And it does make me wonder. It makes me wonder 2 things. Number one, why, if I have all these views, why am I so bad at getting subscribers? Why is everybody else so good at getting people to click in and subscribe? And why am I so bad at it? So that's one thing that comes to mind. The other thing that comes to mind is that I realize, like, when I'm looking at channels that has like 7 times my subscribers, and yet I have more traffic, it honestly makes me wonder, how important is it to to get people to click. It's important to have people come back and watch the videos, but how important is it to get them to go and click the subscribe button? I don't know. I'm not saying I've got any answers. I still don't off the top of my head, but it is an interesting thing while that other channels that have as much traffic as me yet do such a better job at getting people to subscribe than I do. But hey, man, look, I never really thought, when I was getting my YouTube channel going, I never really thought I'd get to 150,000 subscribers. I never thought I'd get there. I'd hoped I would, but I never really thought I would. And yet here we are, over 150,000 subscribers. And I'm grateful for each and every one that has. And I appreciate that, Javier, very much. All right. Uncle Ed writes, when I was growing up in the 80s, classics were like Wizard of Oz, black and white movies, Hitchcock. What would be classic now? Movies I watched in the 80s? I guess so. Yeah, I mean, the older movies they enter into classic status. So it's like, as hard as it is for somebody like me who was growing up in the 80s and hitting my teenage years in the 80s, I guess movies from then, I guess to some people, Top Gun would be considered one of the classics now. I guess a movie like Star Wars is considered a classic now, although I was really damn young when that came out. That was the 70s. But yeah, I guess the movies that we grew up with are now starting to get into that age where they're being considered classics. Much like when we were teenagers and we're calling Wizard of Oz classics and things like that, movies that were in the 60s or 70s. I'm sure our parents looked at us and went, oh my God, you're calling that classic? I watched that in theater, And I'm sure there's probably a lot of those movies coming along now that were movies that were part of us growing up that other people now call classic, and we got to deal with that. Uncle Ed. Catman writes, I had surgery this morning. Oh my gosh. My eyelashes, unfortunately, had to be removed. Oh my God, what kind of surgery did you have that you had to have eyelashes removed? But the good news is I can still see Captain Marvel on Sunday. Well, clearly then that's great news. I can't even imagine how weird that would feel to not have eyelashes. That must feel really odd. But at any rate, obviously whatever you had done, Catman, it's all good because you're home and you're going to go see Captain Marvel on Sunday. So that's the good news. And yes, enjoy Captain Marvel. I'm probably going to sneak out and go see it again tonight. I mean, all the showings are sold out where I live, but there is a 1:45 a.m. showing that still has some empty seats. So I think I might end up going out and watching that again later tonight and checking that out. I can't get Ann to go with me, not to a 1:45 a.m. because she's seeing it tomorrow morning again. With her Hasbro people. She goes, I'm not going to stay up till 4 a.m. watching Captain Marvel again when I'm just going to then sleep for 3 hours, get up and go watch it again. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. I get it. But anyway, glad your surgery went well, Catman, and enjoy Captain Marvel. I hope you have a good time. All right. Luke Woodward writes, you're walking down the sidewalk and a Hot Toys truck tips over. How many do you take? I take none of them, Luke. I go and check to make sure that the driver's okay. And then I help them gather them up and get them all back into the truck. Why? Because to quote Thor, that's what heroes do. That and Hot Toys are just too big to shove into your jacket and pretend like you don't have them. No, I wouldn't take any. I wouldn't take any. I just help the dump truck driver get back together again. But I'd probably want to sit there and stare at them for a while because Hot Toys are pretty. Now, Robert Meyer Burnett, if he were here right now, doing this video with me, he might give a completely different answer. He might say he's running into some backyard, grabbing a wheelbarrow, loading up as many as he can and running home with them. That's what Robert's probably doing. All right. Solido 0739 writes, seeing Captain Marvel tonight, stoked. Ashley, marry me. Well, pass on the proposal to Ashley. But I'm glad you're having a chance to see it. I thought yesterday that, man, you know what? I want to go see Captain America or Captain Marvel again tomorrow night, Thursday night when it opens. And I can't find an empty seat anywhere other than the 1:45 show. I mean, there are a few with empty seats, like individual seats, but not with any two beside each other, so I'm kind of stuck. Anyway, Salito, go enjoy, but I've been telling people this. Make sure you're in your seat on time because I'm not going to give anything away. But you know the opening Marvel logo thing, and they play that orchestra music, bum ba da bum 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 ba da bum 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 bum, and there's just like Captain America throwing the shield, and Iron Man, and Hulk, and the Marvel logo. They do something kind of cool with that for this movie. So all I'm saying is make sure you're in your seat on time. Make sure you're there for the start of the movie because you don't want to miss the opening Marvel logo. Just trust me on that. You don't want to miss that. Okay. Andrew Jones writes, John, I loved Arrow when Captain Jack Harkness, a.k.a. John Barrowman, was on the show. Going to miss the show after this fall season finale. John Barrowman, as whether you want to call him the Black Archer or, what do they call him? The magician or whatever his nickname was out of the league and stuff like that. Anyway, he was great in this show. He was always great in the show. He brought, I don't like using the word gravitas, but he did. He brought a gravitas to the movie and to the show. And one of the things that I liked about it best is, I always refer to when Arrow started, you could tell, Stephen Amell is new at this. But Stephen Amell grew into that role. And what I loved was sometimes when Barrowman and Amell would have scenes together, you could see Amell getting better just from being in a scene with Barrowman. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that contributed to Stephen Amell becoming so good and really owning that role was that he got to work with an actor like Barrowman. And I used to love him on that as well. And for me, like I said, I had a love-hate relationship with the Arrow show. Sometimes I absolutely loved it. Sometimes not so much. It has been getting its footing again. But again, I think this is the right time. I think the show's run its course, and I think this is the right time. And again, I don't think we've seen the last of Stephen Amell's Arrow, even when the show ends. But who knows? We'll see. All right. Monkey of all DJs, I like the name, writes, remember Blockbuster introduced me to Full Moon Entertainment, Puppet Master, Trancers, and Subspecies. Here's the cool thing. Pardon me, Monkey. Here's the cool thing about Blockbuster. We talked this morning on the John Campea Show, me, Robert, and Ashley, about the thing about Blockbuster was it was also a social experience. You and your buddies, I know me and my buddies, we would all go down to the local video store and we would walk the aisles and pick out a movie. We'd grab a couple movies, grab some food together, go. It was a real social experience going to the Blockbuster, going to the local video store. But one of the other things that was great about video stores was the fact that in going up and down the aisles, we discovered movies that we probably never would have seen otherwise. We discovered movies. Like, I'll tell you what, I talk about Best of the Best all the time. I love that movie. I only watched it once because me and some friends were in a video store. I'm like, what's this? Well, James Earl Jones is in it, and it's looked like it's got karate in it. And we're like, okay, let's give this a shot. One of my favorite movies now. One of my favorite movies. And there were a lot of movies like that we used to discover because we were walking the aisles at Blockbuster, or in my case, Rogers Video. But we were walking up and down the aisles and we'd see the movie that catch our attention. Maybe we've never even heard of it before. We're like, yeah, okay, I'll check this one out. And we pull it off the shelf and take it home. It was a great movie discovery tool for us. And that's yet another one of the things we're losing by losing all the video stores. It's true. Okay, good point, Monkey. All right, Bryan Jones writes, am I the only one that noticed Stan Lee walking over Miles and Peter on the street after they fell from the train? Is it Stan Lee? Now, I'll tell you what, I will go down and check. As soon as this show is done, I will go down and check because I just bought Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse on digital on the Google Play Store. It was on sale for $18, so I bought it. Click. I'll go down. I never noticed that was Stan Lee. Stan Lee's cameo came before that in the shop. Was that actually him? Again, if it's true, and if you're right, and I'm not sure that you're right, but if you are right, then yeah, man, you're one of the only guys to notice it because I never saw it. So I will go down and check that once I'm done the show. Thanks for bringing that up, Brian. I appreciate that. All right. Vishal Shethi writes, Bob Iger just announced that Star Wars Galaxy Edge will open on the 31st of May in Anaheim and on the 29th of August in Orlando. How excited are you? Oh, pretty damn excited, but also pretty damn scared. Disney annual passes are not cheap. So, Ann and I used to have Disney annual passes a few years ago. And we got them every year for like 3 or 4 years in a row. And then a couple years ago we stopped because it's expensive. And now, hold a second. Let me just look this up. Disney Land annual pass price. Oh my God, I don't even know if I want to see this. 2019. Let me see what this is going to cost here. Should have looked this up before. Annual passes, Disneyland resorts. Okay, so the one that we used to have. We used to have the Signature Passport, which was admission to both parks most days of the year. Like, there are always blackout dates. I mean, there's a level you can get where there's no blackout dates. We used to get one with minimal blackout dates, like just a very few blackout dates. 15% off select dining, 20% off merchandising, standard theme parking for free, blah, blah. $1,150. $1,150. Now, for the top pass, which is the Disney Signature Plus Passport, which is admission to the parks every day of the year. Visit both theme parks, because at Disneyland there's California Adventure and Disneyland theme parks, so it's 2 parks in one. And so you get both parks. Includes the Disney Max Pass feature. I don't know what that is, but I got to look that up. 15% off dining, 20% off merchandising, standard free parking, blah, blah. $1,400 per person. So, Ann and I are going to go down and get a couple of passes. We haven't decided which level of pass we're going to get. But minimum we're spending is like $2,000. Minimum we're probably spending is $2,300 for the two of us to get passes. $2,300. You got to be an idiot to get that. You got to be an idiot to get that. But they're going to have Star Wars Land. So what am I going to do? Not get an annual pass? Of course I'm getting an annual pass, and I'll be going every day. There will be many days that there will be no John Campea Show, right around May 31st. May and the beginning of June, because I'm just going to be at Disneyland all day, standing in front of the Millennium Falcon going, like, just being completely wowed by it. But yeah, I'm probably going to get these passes, and it means I'm probably going to have to, again, not take vacation this year and do what things I need to do to make sure I can afford it, but I'm probably going to get that pass. But oh my God. Yeah, I'm very excited. I've been excited ever since the day they announced it, man. And I was there at D23 when Bob Iger was on the stage at D23 and announced this Star Wars theme park. I was there, and I've been super stoked about it ever since, and cannot wait. But it's going to suck all my money out of me. Okay, Lee Edworthy writes, the Blockbuster here in the UK shut down at least 10 years ago. I remember when Deadpool 2 came out, they reopened a few of those stores in London. Really? I never heard of that. They reopened Blockbusters for Deadpool 2? How have I not heard about that? Okay, I've got to go online and do some searching around for that, because that sounds like a really cool story. I got to get more information on that, because that sounds really neat. Thanks for sharing that, Lee. Okay, Frost, 1977 writes, Flash CW trailer, Gorilla Grodd versus King Shark this week. Yeah, I have not seen the promo yet, but I've just seen a lot of people getting excited. Oh my God, King Shark is going to fight Gorilla Grodd. It's like, who would have ever thought that we would ever see that on television? Who would have ever thought we would have seen that on television? But yes, I'm going to have to go and get caught up, and then I got to watch that preview, because everybody's been talking about that, Frost, and I got to get on board with that, because who doesn't want to see Gorilla Grodd fight King Shark? No matter how bad the CGI is. No matter how bad. It's CW, it's television, I get it. There's going to have some questionable CGI. But it doesn't matter. It's going to be Gorilla Grodd fighting King Shark. We got to see that, right? Jozef Ziegler writes, reading reviews for Captain Marvel, and is it fair to use... Let me try this again. Reading reviews for Captain Marvel, and is it fair to use the MCU movies as a standard in of itself? Feels like saying, is it as good as? Well, I think, here's the thing. When evaluating and judging a movie, you should always judge a movie on its own merits. Forget if it's a remake, comparing it to the original. Forget all that kind of stuff. In just the base function of evaluating a movie and talking about a movie, judge the movie on its own merits regardless of anything else. Now, once you've done that and you evaluate the movie on its own merits, then it can become useful to say, now that we've judged the film on its own merits, then doing some comparisons isn't so bad. once you've already evaluated the film on its own merits. Then, the problem is a lot of people evaluate movies in relation to other movies. That's not helpful. Evaluate a movie on its own, and then for the sake of illustration, then drawing some comparisons, then that's a pretty useful function to do. So, like I'll talk about Captain Marvel, and I'll review what I think is good about the movie and what I think is bad about the movie. Now, once I've done that, and I say what I think about the movie, then I'll go, okay, now look, overall, is it as good as, say, like Winter Soldier, like the upper top level echelon of MCU movies? No. But is it on par with like some of the next echelon of MCU movies? Like Doctor Strange, like Ant-Man, like Black Panther? I would say yes. I would say it belongs in that. It compares favorably to those. And I believe it compares very favorably compared to lower trung movies on the MCU. Iron Man 2, Thor the Dark World, things like that, right? I even think it's better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I didn't think was bad, but I think Captain Marvel's better. So evaluate the movie on its own merits. Then once you've done that, then I think drawing comparisons to other films, particularly films of its own ilk, become a useful and constructive thing. Again, the problem is people evaluate a movie not on its own merits, but rather in terms of anything else. And I think that's where the mistake is. But I think those are two very distinct things. Okay. Orlando Rodriguez writes, do you think it's possible that Disney stops making physical media after Disney Plus comes out, forcing everyone to join the streaming service to rewatch movies? After all, you can't buy Netflix movies or shows. This would be a brilliant move. Well, here's what makes that interesting, Orlando. Here's what makes that interesting. We are living in an era right now, and we've been talking a bunch this past week about the fact that Blu-ray is going away. I mean, you've seen an exponential drop-off every year and a drop in Blu-ray sales, not just the players, but also the discs. People are buying fewer and fewer Blu-rays every single year. The sales are going like this. Then Samsung, the number one manufacturer of Blu-ray stuff, just announced they're getting out of the Blu-ray game. They're not going to make... They're the number one seller of them, and they're getting out. Oppo already got out. And just like when Samsung was the first television manufacturer to say, we're not making 3D televisions anymore, almost every other manufacturer followed suit. And people are going to stop making Blu-rays. Blu-ray is going away. So it's interesting that this question, Orlando, comes up now in light of the fact that physical media seems to be disappearing anyway. Physical media seems to be going away. Would it then be wise, since we're living in an era where Blu-ray is dying anyway, for a Netflix or for a Disney who's got their own streaming service coming to go, you know what, folks? We're getting out of the Blu-ray business too. So, if you want to see Spider-Man Far From Home, which was in theaters recently, I mean, we're talking about the future now. If you want to see Spider-Man Far From Home, which was just in theaters a little while ago, or if you want to watch Captain Marvel, you want to watch Avengers Endgame, we're not going to be making them available on Blu-ray, but we will make them available on our streaming service, Disney+. There is obvious strategic advantage to doing that, right? There's obvious strategic advantage. Because they're still going to sell digital copies. I mean, I'll still be able to buy even if they do that, they will make Captain Marvel available on Google Play Store and on iTunes and on Amazon Prime and whatever other kind of digital service you may use. They'll still make them available there for purchase, for digital streaming. They'll still do that. But again, in the era of the disappearing of the Blu-ray market, to coincide the launch of your new streaming service, which you want people to sign up and subscribe to, and doing that hand in hand with an announcement that says our studios will no longer be making Blu-rays, that could trigger a pretty big bump in subscriptions to your Disney Plus service. It could trigger a significant bump to the Disney Plus service. It's not a bad idea. So, I don't know. Could they do it? You see, if you'd asked me this question any other time, I would say, no, I don't think so. But because we are in this era right now of the disappearing Blu-rays, it's feasible. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say definitively right now that, yeah, that's what Disney's going to do. Disney's going to kill Blu-rays, make everybody go over to Disney Plus and sign up there. I'm not definitively saying that, but 4 weeks ago, before these announcements of Samsung ditching Blu-ray and about the reports and the sales numbers of Blu-rays, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have said, nah. But now today, I got to admit, I think it's a possibility. I wouldn't necessarily put money on it, but I think it's a possibility, Orlando. You might be onto something, man. You might actually be onto something. What do you guys think? Do you think that's something Disney could do? Would it make good business sense to do it? I mean, jump down to the comment section below and let me know what you think. Okay, thanks a lot for that, Orlando. Let's move on here. Rinal Alir writes, any thoughts on James Luceno's Star Wars Darth Plagueis? Well, Darth Plagueis is a novel. Of course, the characters referred to in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, when Palpatine is sitting in the opera with Anakin, and he goes, you've ever heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise? I don't know why I said that like Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack Sparrow is not Palpatine, so I don't know why I sounded like that. Anyway, now, they then did a novel of it, and it's an interesting novel. It follows this. Now, of course, he's the Sith Lord who is the master of Darth Sidious, who is, of course, the Emperor Palpatine. But it starts where Plagueis was actually the apprentice. And he ends up in like a mind collapse, planet collapse sort of things. He had this scheme planned, and he killed his own master. And he was on the path trying to figure out how to control and manipulate midichlorians enough to actually control life and death and all this kind of stuff. I thought it was quite good. I didn't think it was great, to be honest. Frankly, that's my feelings on a lot of Star Wars novels. Now, there's a few Star Wars novels that are great. Lords of the Sith, Lost Stars, Tarkin. Those were great Star Wars novels, but a lot of them, honestly, are a little bit comme ci, comme ça, if you know your French. A little comme ci, comme ça. And I would put Darth Plagueis, while some really cool things in it, I would put it in the comme ci, comme ça kind of level, personally. Anyway, Javier Belmer writes, but not bad. And there are some bad Star Wars novels, and this one is not bad at all. It's not bad. It's got some upside. It's worth reading if you're a Star Wars fan. But I just don't think it's on the upper echelon of the Star Wars novels like the other ones I mentioned. All right, Javier Belmer writes, so much for Justice for Han. Hashtag Justice for Rob is where it's at now. We all thought Thanos used Time Stone. Okay, so what happened earlier today on the John Campea Show, I don't know if Rob kicked out a cable or something, but Rob's signal froze coming into the show. And we don't know what happened, but he rebooted his machine and blah, 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 and then we got him back in. But yeah, for a while there, Rob's frame was like, he was mid-sentence, blah, blah, blah. And then he just froze there, right, for a minute. But thankfully, we were able to get him back in. Alt Productions writes, Arrow only 10 episodes because he will die in Crisis. Well, that's what I speculated earlier today. But I don't think he's going to die in Crisis because, like I said, Amell has already announced, well, not announced, but he's already insinuated that we're going to see him back in the Arrowverse in some of the other shows. We'll probably see him pop up now and again. So I don't know if he dies in Crisis, but I do have a feeling that all the Arrow shows are going to right up to episode 10, which will culminate in the Crisis crossover. And then something significant. I don't think he's going to die, though, but I think something very significant is going to happen to him in that Crisis crossover that will then extensively be the end of the Arrow show. So death, it's possible, but I don't think so. But definitely something significant. All right. Gabriel Reed writes, where did he go? There he is. Could Brightburn be the start of a horror superhero franchise? Shyamalan did a small franchise himself, so why can't Gunn? I don't think so. First of all, Gunn has his own thing going. He's doing Suicide Squad and all this kind of stuff. And don't forget, James Gunn is not directing Brightburn. He's a producer on it. His brothers actually wrote it. Two of his brothers have written Brightburn, and so he came on board as a producer and is helping bring, but he's not directing it. He's not the writer of it. This isn't his puppy, per se. And don't forget, he is now plugged into Warner Brothers in DC, and he's going to be doing Suicide Squad. This seems like a one-shot kind of Elseworld kind of idea of a movie that doesn't smell like franchise to me. This looks very much like a one-shot special story. So I would say no, and I would also say he shouldn't try to make a franchise out of it. Not everything has to be franchises. So just, this movie looks great, make a great one-shot movie, and move on to other things. So that's the way I think it's going to go, especially since it's not even his movies, really. All right. Zach Beckett writes, Frog Sisters, if I couldn't care less about the Lost Boys show. What's wrong with the Frog Sisters? So some people are getting their panties in a twist because there's a new FX, I believe it's FX. They have, or no, it's CW, sorry. CW is doing a Lost Boys show, which I admit I don't have a lot of interest in either. But one of the things that they've done is that, a couple of the characters in the original movie were the Frog Brothers. They've changed that. Now those two characters are going to be the Frog Sisters. Ultimately, who cares? Who cares? They're minor secondary characters in the story. Who cares? No, seriously, who cares? And if that causes an issue for you, I would have to ask you, why is that an issue for you? How is this really a bad thing? I mean, look, I don't care about this show either. I have no interest in this show. But it ain't because they took a couple of secondary characters from a movie from the 80s or early 90s, whenever it came out. Actually, you know what? I got to look that up. What year did Lost Boys open? Okay. It came out, it was late 80s, 1987. So who cares what a couple of secondary characters from a movie in 1987 that they're remaking on the CW, if they make some secondary characters who were a couple of young boys into a couple of young girls? Why is that a problem? Why is that an issue? What's the issue here? I would challenge you on that, Zach. Like, who cares? What's the big deal? I just don't care about it because I don't think there's much here to care about looking at this show. But hey, whatever, that's just me. All right, Zach Houston writes, I love clicking into the live show and hear Robert exclaim, it's gonna be great. Keep bringing the filthy. Rob has such contagious enthusiasm. Robert Meyer Burnett has a contagious enthusiasm that just makes me love talking movies with him. And you're right, it's always great seeing him get excited and the big smile and the sweat start to pour down because he's so happy for that type of enthusiasm. Man's contagious, and I think we need more of that type of stuff in the film fan community these days. So I completely agree with you, Zach. All right, Zach J. Reviews writes, did you hear that Shazam is also doing early access showings on March 23rd? I think this gives me even more confidence in the film. Big fan since AMC. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have heard about that. Look, I have just believed ever since the day they announced that they cast Zachary Levi. And that was a long time ago. But you guys remember, who've been following me for a long time, the day they announced Zachary Levi, some other people were going, really, Zach Levi? I'm like, perfect. This is great, because the type of charm and charisma that Zachary Levi brings to the screen, to me, fits perfectly with the type of a Shazam movie they should be doing. That's just in my opinion. You may feel differently. That's totally cool. But the type of Shazam movie, when I would think about, man, if they're going to do a Shazam movie right, here's how it can work. And that type of movie I constructed in my head is perfect for a guy like Zachary Levi. Now, there are other actors they could have got to that maybe even would have been better, but Zachary Levi was a great choice. And as soon as they announced Zachary Levi, I'm like, I'm on board. Because now I see where you're going with this. By casting Zachary Levi, I see where you're going with this. And I've been excited for this movie ever since. The trailers have been dynamite. The last one was absolutely spectacular. The fact that they're going to be lifting review embargoes really early, it's all good news. Warner Brothers showing great confidence in the film. It's all good news. I cannot wait for this movie. I'm super stoked for it. Okay, let's move on. Zach J. Reviews follows up with, have you seen Leaving Neverland as well? Well, we talked about that on the show earlier today on the John Campea Show. I have not seen it. I have no interest to see it. I explained why on the John Campea Show. I went at length about why I have no desire to see it, why I have no plans to ever watch it. And I went into that on the John Campea Show earlier this morning. So if you want to see my full answer on that, that's the best place to go see my answer to that. Koba writes, I actually preferred the first Hellboy trailer. You know, that's the thing, Koba. It's really interesting. So I, like everybody else, when that first Hellboy trailer dropped with the Billy Idol music, right? Like everybody else, I was like taken aback because that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting something dark and bleak and like horror oriented, you know? And they gave us that. So it caught me off guard. But once I got over my surprise and watched it again, I went, you know what? This is pretty good. Now, a lot of people were turned off by it though, and that's fine. I love the newest trailer. I think the newest trailer looks great. I'm just afraid that they lost so many people with that first trailer that they may not get them back. And I worry. I'll straight up honest with you. I worry about how Hellboy's going to do. I worry about it very much because the Hellboy franchise was never a big hit franchise in the first place. Even with Hellboy 1, Hellboy 2, neither of them were big hits. So I worry about this one, but we'll have to go. But I'm glad you like the first one because I appreciate it too. I preferred the second one. We differ on that, but I'm with you that I appreciated the first one after I got over my surprise. Once I got past my surprise. Okay. Andrew Roker writes, super excited for tonight's Captain Marvel. Me and the wife ready to be blown away. Fans since the AMC days. Just wanted to say thanks for being a part of my daily routine. Keep bringing the filthy. Thank you so much, Andrew, and I hope you and your wife have a great time. Again, I'm going to restate to you, Andrew, what I said a little bit earlier. Number one, make sure you are in your seat on time. You do not want to miss the opening. That opening Marvel bump, bump, bump. You want to be there for that opening fanfare. And stay, I know a lot of people think, not all Marvel. A lot of the Marvel post-credit scenes are cute, but they're not important. I know a lot of people who know there are post-credit scenes coming in a Marvel movie, but they still get up and boot once the movie ends because a lot of times the post-credit scenes aren't important. And they're not really worth sitting around for 6 extra minutes of just watching credits roll to watch a cute little 20-second spot. Stick around for the Captain Marvel ones, especially for the mid-credit scene. Now, if you're in a rush and you got to split after the mid-credit scene, okay, I think you'll want to stick around for the final one anyway, but the more important one is the first one. The more important one is the mid-credit scene. No matter what else you got going on, wait. Make sure you wait, watch that one, and I hope you enjoy it. All right. Dan Phillips writes, thanks or thoughts on Darkman, my favorite Raimi film, fun and dazzling. Oh, I liked Darkman. Not a big fan, and that was Liam Neeson, by the way. Not a big fan of the sequels. I mean, those ones were basically straight to home video direct, but I always got a kick out of Darkman. It was a little bit ahead of its time, to be honest with you. I always thought Darkman was a bit ahead of its time. I have no pain senses. I mean, it's a very cool concept for a character. And again, I think it would almost, if it never existed and came out today, I almost think it would be more successful today. I really kind of do. Anyway, Ben Rayner writes, the quote is from Tony saying it over the walkie-talkie to Widow during the Cap Loki first fight in Germany, I believe. Oh, okay. So on the John Campea Show earlier, one of the other questions that came in was, man, that AC/DC tune when over the radio, hey, Agent Romanoff, you missed me? I'm like, I just can't remember where that's from. I think, Ben, you're exactly right. I think that's exactly the spot where that's from. Good thinking, man. Good thinking. All right. The Insight writes, are you guys into digital books? I am. I still will buy the odd physical book, but for the vast majority of stuff, I buy my stuff on digital. I get the Kindle versions of just about everything. I get audiobooks. And the ones I want to actually hold the physical book, then I get those ones in Kindle. It's very, very rare that I buy actual physical books anymore. So yeah, I'm totally into digital books. Let's see. Assorted Musings. John, over under 10 million for Marner. Go Leafs go. I'll tell you what. I think 10 million is the line. I think 10 million is the line. He's having one of the best scoring seasons of any Maple Leaf ever. In a year that you got Tavares and you've got Matthews. And now a lot of you people have no idea what we're talking about, so I'll skip over this one quick. But just to say, I'm not even going to take over under. I think 10 million is exactly what he's going to get. I think 10 million a year is exactly what he's going to get. He's kind of earned it, so I think that's exactly where he's going to end up. Okay, Final question of the day to wrap up this session of the companion videos. Cortland Reed writes, Wonder Woman 84, Invisible Jet or no? I'm going to take the big no on that. I really don't think they're going to do that. I could be wrong about this. I think I remember Patty Jenkins talking a little bit about the Invisible Jet back when they were making the first Wonder Woman. And I think she has no plans of ever using an invisible jet. I think that's something that does not fit with the live action adaptation of Wonder Woman. I don't think that fits. So my guess is no. But hey, again, man, in the world of comic book movies, anything's possible. So don't go putting a whole big bunch of money on that. But my guess at this point would be no invisible jet for Wonder Woman. All right, guys, that will do it for this install of the companion video. We are now all caught up on all the questions that I sent in today. Don't forget the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. Make sure you come back and join us there. And guys, while you're here, speaking about subscribing, do me a favor, click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to my YouTube channel, stay up to date on all the stuff that we got going on here. And guys, make sure you come back and see us again tomorrow. That will do it for us for now. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.